my class who wants to do some math. Mr. H, garage math, solve equations.
Everybody dance now. Do-do-do-do. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba. Everybody dance now. I love that song. I really do. That song really brings out the energy in me. Fun. Okay, hey everybody, my name is Mr. Henriksen, Mr. H. This is Garage Math. It has been forever since I have stood here and done one of these. So I'm actually going to do a double header because I'm going to knock out one right after this. So I can keep the world of geometry flowing. All right, hey, quick catch up. Let's see. I currently am viral. I have a viral. I'm viralicious. I referee high school basketball, and I was honored to do a game a couple weeks ago at Golden One. It was a big high school game. I won't get into details, names of teams or whatever. But when you are a referee, I'll just speak for high school basketball referees because that's all I know. When we go to referee school, the top two things you need to learn, and if you know these two things, the rest of the stuff you could just kind of figure out. Number one, call the obvious, okay? These are big, strong kids, and when they foul each other, everybody knows. If blue hits it out of bounds, give it to white. If white hits it out of bounds, give it to blue. Okay. The second one is don't be an idiot and stay off of social media. Keep your calls off of social media. Well, if you have TikTok, and I'm not saying you should have TikTok because I heard TikTok's bad. I don't know. I don't have TikTok. But I made a call in this game near the end of the game. And without going into any details, it was a pretty controversial call. It really wasn't that big of a deal because the team that I called it on ended up winning. The call was justified. Maybe I shouldn't have called it at the moment based on what was happening. All I know is my son, who's a teenager, said, "Hey Dad, did you know that somebody clipped your call and made a comment on the bottom that had a question, was like, is this a good call?" I said, "Whoa, that's cool." He said, "Yeah, it's on TikTok. And currently it has 155,000 views. So you have my mug making a call that I wasn't totally proud of, and it has 155,000 views. I'm so excited about that. And then there's a bunch of comments, and the comments range anywhere from, "Yeah, that's a high school violation," to, "That guy's a moron. He's just jealous because he can't dunk. He should be ashamed." And then everything in between. So that's kind of been a little bit of fun. And I'm going to spring training next week because I've never been to Arizona to go to spring training. So I'm taking my sons, and they're bringing a friend, and it's in the Phoenix area. And I just looked up the weather, and we're going to go to 3 games in a row. Boink, boink, boink. They're all during the day, and it's going to be like 96 degrees. That's awesome. All 3 of them are for the Oakland A's, the Sacramento A's, the Athletics. So that's exciting. So that's kind of part of my world. Hopefully everybody out there is doing great. This weather is amazing. I love it when it gets darker later because you can then work outside. I've already fertilized my plants. I've done a lot of pruning, and everything is just ready to grow. Okay, speaking of ready to grow, how about we grow some of that knowledge? Okay, today's going to be a nuts and bolts lesson, and it's just going to be quick. We're going to thank Archimedes for this, and he came up with the area formula of a circle. Again, there's certain formulas in your life you're going to forget. There's some that you're going to always remember. For example, I equals, correct. How about A equals pi r squared? A equals pi r squared. You're always going to remember that forever, ever, and ever. A equals pi r squared. I equals PRT. Okay, so the area of a circle is obviously a challenge because when you measure the area of some sort of shape, you measure it in squares, okay? A square mile would be a mile this way, a mile this way, a mile this way, a mile that way, right? You would measure a large piece of land like California by square miles, okay? If you have something smaller, you would use a smaller unit, okay? So that's really important. But to measure, so for example, just think of tiles, right? If you look in your classroom and there's 30 tiles that go this way and there's 30 tiles that go that way, it's a square, you multiply 30 times 30, there's 900 tiles, and the tiles in most classrooms, look down, are 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches. So there's 900 tiles. So if you're a builder or you're having some work done on your property, knowing the area of shapes is really important. So I really like geometry because it makes me feel like I'm doing math in real life. I'm gonna share in the second game of the doubleheader a time when I did use math in my real life and I almost got divorced for doing it. Ooh, stay tuned. Okay, A equals pi r squared. So r is the radius. So sometimes they're gonna give you the diameter. So you gotta be careful. Don't always use the number they give you because you have to make sure it's the radius. So if the diameter is 30, then the radius is 15. Now all you have to do is plug it in, and get out a calculator. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna work down. I always just like to start with the formula and plug it in. Pi, we're gonna use 3.14. We're not gonna use 22 over 7. Times R is 15 squared. Okay, and we're gonna use what's called order of operations. We're not gonna multiply these. We're gonna actually do the exponents first. 15 times 15. 15 times 15, I'm pretty sure is 225. 15 times 15 is 225. So then we go 3.14 times 225. And then we're going to go 225 times 3.14. The area equal, ooh, here comes the important part. You have to put that baby 2 above the feet, okay? Because that means it's squared. Remember, we're measuring in squares. So you have to put feet squared. If you don't put that little 2, your teacher's going to take a point away. So basically, you would have, if you had a foot, like a square foot, like a tile, you would have 706.5 of those tiles that would make that up, okay? So a lot of classrooms are 30 by 30. So if you happen to be in a classroom, look down. Your room actually is 30 by 30. And I bet if you took a circle and you drew it, if you emptied out all the desk and everything, and you just sort of put like a dot right here in the middle, and then you drew a big circle, and then you took like a jackhammer, you would have 706.5 of those. Remember, it's hard to, because you're gonna have parts of tiles because it's a circle. Okay, so obviously Archimedes developed that for us. You'd have to buy more than that because you're gonna have pieces of tile. But we're not building, that's just what that means. Okay, very cool. We only have 2 more problems. By the way, you should have a paper and a notebook. All right, find the area up. Now, I do want to show you something, and I don't know if you can see it, because I like to make things sort of so you can understand it. You see that little blue square right there? That's actually a square centimeter. I took a ruler and I drew a square centimeter. Okay, so that circle on top is actually 18 centimeters is actually the diameter. So here's what I want you to do. I like to do this in class sometimes and then like do like a little prize to see who gets the closest. You're always gonna guess way less than it actually is. How many, because that's what area means, how many of these square centimeters fit in this? So if you just line them up, how many of those would fit in here? Before we actually do the math, I want you to take a guess. So what I want you to do is write it down in your notebook, so you have to use the honor system. Whoever gets the closest is going to get a prize. I got a bag of cat food, and I got a couple bags of fertilizer, and I got some shoes right here. So you get to pick whatever you want when we decide who the winner is. Okay, so again, how many square centimeters fit in here? So instead of cutting out all of these and lining them up, that would take forever. Then you'd have to slice part of them off. We're gonna use the formula. Okay, what formula do you say? Remember, you have to guess before you do the work. So hit pause and guess. Okay, now let's do the work. All right, area equals pi r squared. Now, remember, the diameter is 18, so you have to use 9 as the radius. Okay, pi times 9 squared. 9 squared is 18. 3.14 times 81. 3.14 times 81. I told you it's always way more than you think. Okay, 3.14 times 81 is 254.34. 254.34. Always put the value with the little 2. 254.34. This little guy right here, there's 254.34 of them that makes up the area of that circle. Pretty cool. Somebody's pounding on the roof. They can't be sleeping. It's like 7 o'clock. Okay. All right, let's do one more. All right. This one, I meant to do like a square inch. I meant to do the same thing. So I'm just going to sort of, I think that's like an inch. Okay. That's actually a little bigger than an inch, I think. Okay, so think of that. We're going to find out how many of those fit in that semicircle. Okay, how many of those fit in that semicircle? No, I think it's kind of a little bit more than a semicircle. These are dog bowls that I used in my house. My dogs were really excited when I was doing, I feel like you're too close to me. Back up. Can you see the board? Sure. Okay, so area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi r squared. I want you to guess how many square inches fits in this semicircle. Although it's not really a semicircle, I think it's more, but let's pretend that it is, okay? The diameter is 8.5, so what's the radius? Oh no, we have to do a little bit of fractions. How about 4.25? Okay, so 8.5, half of 8 is 4. Half of a half times a half is 1/4. Okay, area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi r squared. We're doing inches, we know that. 3.14 times 4.25 squared. 4.25 squared. 4.25 times 4.25. Oh boy, why did I have to get such a crazy decimal? Whatever, I'm gonna round. 3.14 times 18. I'm rounding to the nearest whole number because that actually was the number 18. Okay, so it's like pretty close to 18. All right, so that's going to be 54 something, 55 something. 3.14 times 18, 56.52, 56.52. But wait a second. That would be the area of the whole circle. Remember, we're doing a semicircle. So we're going to divide that bad boy by 2. Okay, we are going to divide that bad boy by 2. Divided by 2. It is hot in my garage right now. I closed the door because there's a bunch of people outside, neighbors during this time of year are out hanging out. They've looked in here before while I'm doing this and kind of look at me weird, but there were so many of them I didn't really want to yell and scream, but now I'm like in this really hot garage. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this problem and open the garage so I can breathe. Inches squared. Okay, so that is the area of the semicircle. Find the area of the circle and divide it by 2. I hope I got that right. I feel like I got it right. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. That was fantastic. Hey, that was part 1 of the doubleheader because I'm going to come right back. Actually, I got to do a little extra. I think the next thing is composite shapes where you have different sort of shapes put together. That's all I have, okay? Everybody dance now. Boop, 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 boop.